It's time now to tackle the headline. Let's get stuck into the coaches and some potential moves that we might see this year and beyond, boys. The pressure meter is ramping up even just after one round. So we've got to start with Kenny, don't we, Ralphie? We're one game in, one very heavy loss and one succession plan that's already coming under question. Where to from here for Port?
Everyone's going to talk about when potentially Port Adelaide would make a move through this season if things go belly up. Here's the one characteristic that defines all of these people in Ken Hinkley, David Koch and their football boss in Chris Davies, stubbornness. There's no way that they're going to say, oh yeah, you're right, critics. You're right, David King, who says we should move on straight away. You're right, let's just sack the coach. This is a team who 2 years ago won 13 in a row. Last year got all the way to a preliminary final, of course didn't advance from there. And I'm going to put this position to you. If you're Josh Carr and they fell in a hole and all of a sudden they were 5 games out of finals with 5 games to go, you reckon Josh Carr wants 5 meaningless games on his win-loss record? So I understand the deep, dark hole they put himself in round one, but I can't see any situation in which he moves on. Of course, if the situation changes, my opinion could change on these things, Scott.
Look, Josh will want the runway of all summer. I agree with that. And Ken will walk away if it becomes so bad. But I don't think it will. I think Port have got enough talent. They'll keep bobbling along, mightn't make the 8, and then they'll shake hands and Josh will have a real proper crack at it. So I agree. I think the stubbornness will win out here.
Now, another team that unfortunately suffered an incredibly heavy loss on the weekend was Freo, and what they did with Justin Longmuir over the summer and his contract sort of moving and shaping there caught a few headlines and raised a few eyebrows. Ralphie, what do you see happening with him? Because he sort of has no end date to his contract now.
No, he's on the runway. So the questions I threw up myself when I thought about this deal is I thought, does it make it easier to bring in another person? Whether that's, well, it wouldn't be Nathan Buckley because he's great mates with him. Of course, he coached over him in that Collingwood grand final. I don't think he would do that. But say it's a John Longmire. Does it make it easier to bring another coach in? Absolutely. Does it make it easier to sack Justin Longmuir? Absolutely. So he has to be on shaky ground. He needs a run at it. He needs Shea Bolton, his best young player out there playing great football. I don't hold any hopes that Sean Darcy will come back anytime soon. But once they get on their home dunghill, once they start winning that a string of games, they've got an extra game against North Melbourne at home. I think he's 50-50 to be coaching next year. But I don't think there's any situation in which this club has backed into a certain extent sacks him mid-year.
Bulldogs, Scotty, we've got to come to you on this, of course.
I've got in trouble here before, Lauren.
Luke Beveridge, the only coach in the competition who is out of contract at the end of this season. They're saying all of the right things, we're talking and things are going well and we're all comfortable, but are you really?
I think this will organically just peter out to an end where Luke is gone at the end of the year, because I don't think the start they've got, the players out, a good win against North, but they're potentially going to be 1-5, 1-4. Hard to come back there. I believe the club's not going to sign him mid-year now. This is going the whole distance. And if I'm Luke, I'd be looking elsewhere because I think he's a good career coach. I think he's had a great run at the Bulldogs, or Footscray. And I think organically this is going to end. And I think they both want that too, to be honest.
Yeah, and Lauren, sometimes people just wear on each other. That absolutely happens. And so if it is that he gets a new contract, what does he get? 2 years? With a trigger clause?
What's that going to do now?
If it is that he gets a contract, wherever it is that someone else falls out, they'd say, mate, you've won premierships. You're great first up. You won a premiership very early on in your tenure. He's got a bit of swagger, like a bloke who, as the only coach out there that he's out not in contract. He's going on AFL 360 saying, I'm not defined by the next 6 weeks. He's saying, I'll be coaching somewhere else. And he knows he's in a very good position to coach next year. It just probably isn't the Western Bulldogs.
Premiership coach, there's a big room at their 100th year anniversary this Friday at the MCG. You're telling me all those Bulldogs greats aren't going to be talking about it? I don't think so. Adelaide and Matthew Nicks. This is intriguing.
I'm big on the Crows, and they looked very good on the weekend. Nicks has to make the 8. Isaac Rankin is a superstar. He's got everything in place now. He's had enough time. And Adelaide is a club that doesn't tolerate, things not going according to plan. So they're looking at that list. They're saying, Nixie, you've done well. You've got them to this point. Now it's go time. So if they don't make the 8, I don't want to be Matthew Nicks in September next year.
Barely an injury.
This year.
Their stars up and running. You know, a crushing victory over St
They're good
Kilda.
enough.
They got gather round games there. They have no excuse that exists in the AFL landscape not to make the 8. And that might be harsh because they're only still working through their bill. But I agree, has to make the 8 and maybe win a final.
What about Clarko? Because he came in with all the bells and whistles, of course, at North Melbourne. He was the messiah and all the rest of it. What if they don't win a game? I mean, not to be devil's advocate here, but...
Well, we're talking about Richmond not winning one.
Do they move on it? It's just an interesting one, I think, close to watch.
Jen Watt and Sonia Hood chips in on this bloke.
They are big time.
It would be terrible for the Richmond Football Club, which have their first pick overall, of course, so they might have picks 1 and 2. Look, I think they'd be shaken to the core about it, but I just think they've invested so much in him. They understand that they need to improve their defensive methodologies, but you saw on the weekend how much talent they've got. It will click for them at some stage this year. They can win 6 or 8 games, and that's enough. Yeah,
well, Richmond, as you say, Scotty, some were saying that they wouldn't win a game all year. Maybe if they don't win another one after that, it's maybe even not going to matter. But Uze, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because there's been so much talk about him externally. How many wins do you think they need for him to earn that maybe early contract extension?
I don't think they should do it. I mean, I think they should let him go through till next year, let him continue to show his good development as a coach. They're not playing finals in the next 2 or 3 years, we know that. There's no need to re-sign him earlier. And I don't agree with this, it takes the pressure off me, everyone's talking about it. You're a senior coach, he's been in the game a long time. You'll handle it, just coach. And at the end of your tenure, we'll go, we can see what you're doing, mate. Here's a couple more. No need to re-sign him earlier.
Round 6, Sam Lawler is able to be re-extended. I know he's only 6 games in by that stage. Give him a 15-year contract and $100 million. This plug is a freak.
He's unbelievable. Adam Uze, of course, at the helm there. The Tigers, well, they're flying at the moment. Who would have thought? We'll see you next time on Tackle the Headline.